Two. All right, we got some more attendees that are joining. Thank you so much, guys, for hopping on this call. For those who are new, welcome. We do these calls typically on Mondays and Thursdays, either at 8 p.m. or 9 p.m., and that is going to be Eastern. On Mondays, we do a live Q&A, and then on Thursdays, we do a specific lesson. Today, we are joined by Michelle. Michelle is a licensed PI in Texas, private investigator. So she's going to be sharing with us her experience in Texas, how you guys can actually work this business if you're looking to do it. We're going to talk about some unclaimed property aspects in Texas, what you guys really need to know, caps in terms of actually working this business, how you can get started, and an awesome program that she's going to deliver to you guys. All right, so today, since we have that lesson, we're going to have everybody muted except for myself and Michelle at the beginning, and then we'll open the floor for questioning after that. All right, so hey, Michelle, let's go ahead and get you introduced to everybody.
There we go. Hi.
All right, thank
Are
you
you
for
on
joining.
camera?
Hi.
Yeah, we
Hi.
no, awesome. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about Texas. So a lot of you guys know that Texas has a unique situation when it comes to doing this business. On the tax sale side, we really don't want to work it because of the caps that they have. As an asset recovery assistant agency, they make it very difficult for us. On the mortgage foreclosure side, it's a little bit more friendlier. We can work that, but they only have their foreclosures at the first Tuesday of every month, the Super Tuesday. But the unclaimed property aspect of it, a lot of people do not really know about it or work it, primarily because of the requirements. So, for those of you who do not know, in Texas, you do have to become a registered PI or be sponsored by a PI company, and you are going to be capped at 10%. And although you might see, oh, 10%, I may not want to work this, there's literally, I mean, Michelle, you might want to touch on this, how much unclaimed property there is in Texas, and this is a huge opportunity. So I'll go ahead and just open the floor for you to Michelle, and you can go ahead and talk to them about, what you have going on and how you can assist everybody.
Okay. So, well, first, like you said, how much is available? It's so many millions, so many claims over 100,000. So, I mean, you do the work, and the work is very streamlined because it's all online, basically. And there are tons of leads because it's so difficult to first access the database, right? Because the list is so large and it's updated every month, which is awesome. But because it's so large, hardly anybody is able to open it, and they won't assist you in opening it. So you have to create a database or have someone else create one for you to get it opened. Or Shannon is in our group, Shannon Price. She's in our group and she sells the list. So she figured out how to get it opened, and you can buy counties from her. Um, I've been licensed for 4 years and I have an agency. You can either be an individually licensed PI, or you can be an agency. I'm both. You have to do both to be an agency. Um, it's a simple process. I'll show it to you guys, but it's very simple. You're just getting a sponsor in my company or from my company, and you are getting registered as an individual. You don't have to take the exam like I had to take the exam, but you do have to do a background check. Um, it's been debated whether or not it's required for the state of Texas for their unclaimed property to be licensed. However, in the frequently asked questions on the website, it says plainly you must be licensed. So even if there's some ambiguity in the actual law, it says it on the website. And I'd rather practice legally than getting out there trying to do it. Even when you request a list, they ask for your company name and your license number, and you have to request a list every month.
Yeah, absolutely. And we can go ahead and I'll share that with you guys. So here, when she's talking about if we head over to the FAQs, they have a section, they refer to this as air finders or asset locators. And they have that information right here. And it says you must be licensed by the Texas Department of Public Safety, which she was talking about. And they also mentioned about the 10%. Now, when you're working this, also, there's going to be times where you would be using this document here, which asks for your private investigator license number. Um,
Mhm.
so when you guys do get registered, like she's talking about, these are the forms that we would be using. And also, when you guys get this, this is going to help you close more deals. I know, Michelle, you can probably touch on this when clients are hesitant about moving forward. When you send them over, your investigator license number and you're informing them that, hey, I'm registered with the state, that kind of eases their mind and they know that this is something that is legitimate.
Absolutely. It's helped a lot in building rapport and credibility a lot faster, right? Because they're like, oh, okay. And it's on my website too. So,
Yeah.
they see the license number. Even when you're like contacting family members or associates in an attempt to reach the person, and you say, I'm a private investigator, I'm trying to find this person because they're owed blah, 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 it definitely helps in that regard as well. And even when I'm working other states, it's helped.
Yeah, for sure. Even being licensed in Texas, still closing deals in other states, the fact that you are a licensed PI will definitely go a long way. Even when I talk about getting the easy licenses or becoming registered, like California, for example, you can become a registered finder in California just by simply emailing them some paperwork, or you
Yeah,
can
that was easy.
yeah, you can become a registered finder in Massachusetts by filling out a one pager. But if you take that and you apply it to your website, like you mentioned, it's gonna, establish more credibility. So let's touch on the requirements, Michelle, on your end for the viewers out there that want to actually do this. I know you mentioned a background check. Do they have to get fingerprinting?
Yeah.
What does it look like to actually go through with this process?
If you go back to that Q&A and where it says license, it's a hyperlink to the page. And
Sorry, I got more people trying to join.
okay,
Oh,
but yeah, it's a background check and fingerprinting.
okay, all in one right here. So we would go
Mhm.
right here, licensing and
Mhm.
registration. All right. And then,
Or I can pull mine up.
yeah, you know it better than me. Go ahead.
I'll do this. I'll just show the app. How about I find it somewhere?
I like your background, ACT, action. Hey, that's what I preach to you guys. Take action, execution over excuses.
Now
And I
I gotta
see
figure
in
out
the
how to get
chat,
you your screen.
I have it enabled for you. If you're going Zoom, there should be a green arrow that says share. And then once you click there, it's going to ask you what browser you would like to share. If you
Which
have a
browser?
Mac, if you have a MacBook and you've never shared your screen before, you do have to actually update your privacy settings on your computer, and then it's going to kick you out, and then you have to just hop back in. Do you have a MacBook?
No, I
Oh,
just don't know what I'm doing.
oh, okay. You see that green share button?
Yeah, I know how to share the screen. I can't
Okay.
find the screen though. Okay, let's see if
Uh,
this works. You're going to be on the screen
I see
shortly.
it.
There we. How about that? Is that
Uh,
it?
yes, nice. Okay, awesome.
Okay.
Yep.
So, um, this is. I mean, it's just basic questions initially. And those are going to, be pretty simple, yes or no. But once you get registered here, start an individual application. This is irrelevant. It takes you directly to the information you need to fill. And it's pretty simple: your social security number, ID, date of birth, blah, blah, blah. But here's where it matters. So for an individual application, you're just going to do unarmed registration. And you're going to select private investigator here. And you're just adding your personal information and then the business's ID here. And that would be my company. And then you're adding your personal address and demographic information. It's pretty simple. For job duties, though, I said I'd be using the license for skip tracing, locating heirs, and kept it very brief. And that's also helpful when you're applying for like skip tracing companies like TLO or IDI Core, the bigger companies, to keep this very simple, the duties. But it helps with those approvals too.
Okay, so prior to them going on this website to get registered, they need
Mm-hmm.
to contact you. So walk us through how that looks. What are some requirements on there? And I already see some people in the chat that are interested. They're asking about what that process looks like, what's the cost. So could you please touch on that?
Yeah. You want me to stop sharing now?
Yeah, unless you have anything
Nope.
else. Else.
That's pretty simple.
Okay.
That's just the background stuff there.
All right.
Um, so what we discussed, Eric, was offering a program where you have to have 3 years of experience to get your own license. So I'd offer 1 year at a time at $295, and that allows you to get your license number. You can then use your license number on your website and your business cards and that kind of thing. Um, but each year it would have to be renewed.
Yep.
So if it's, if it's not using that ID number or that license number, is going to be illegal. But so yeah, you're going to renew it. And after the 3 years, it's up to you guys if you want to start your own agency. But that was the requirement, the 3 years. That's what gets everyone stuck.
Okay, awesome. And 295 guys, that's a still considering the fact that, if you don't have the 3 years experience and you don't know other PI agencies to get sponsored by, you have no other option. And you are going to put yourself at a disservice, especially for those who are saying that they live in Texas, by not working this opportunity. We all know that the fundamentals of this business across the board are the same. It doesn't matter if we're doing tax sales, mortgage foreclosures, unclaimed county funds, unclaimed state funds, unclaimed bankruptcy funds. Once we find unclaimed funds and we know who's entitled, it's the same process. We market and then we explain and then we get them under contract and we submit the claim. And to be honest, from my experience working in multiple states, submitting claims on the unclaimed state fund side is usually pretty simple. They have a 1 or 2 page document that you fill out. Now, sometimes it does get tricky when you're dealing with deceased claims. So that will be something that you guys would want to use an attorney for, which I've provided you guys multiple attorneys in Texas that can actually assist you on the probate side. If it's under 10,000, they do have that document that you can use, and you can kind of get away without going the route of getting a probate established. So once they go in, Michelle, and should they contact and do like an interview with you first to make sure it's a good fit, or how does that work?
Yeah, I'd like for us to speak first. I mean, they can easily reach out to me. I'm in the group, but I'll put my email address in the chat. But yeah, I'd like to speak with them first to see if it's a good fit because, again, it's my license attached to that person, right? Um, I mean, frankly, though, once they get to the application process, the information that has to be completed and the background check, it kind of eliminates anybody trying to do anything. So I'm okay with that. I just want to have that discussion.
Absolutely. Awesome. So it sounds pretty clear, guys. Let's go ahead and open the floor for discussion. I see we have a lot of questions in the chat, but if you
Yeah.
guys start asking questions, go ahead, raise your hand or just chime in.
Yeah, I have a question. So I'm not familiar with the PI process in Texas, but I'm curious. So, I don't live in the state of Texas. Have no intentions of moving or coming to the state of Texas. But I do business in Texas on the mortgage foreclosure side. So me being someone who lives in North Carolina, or rather having a company that is organized here in the state of North Carolina,
Mhm.
if I wanted to use your license for a period of 3 years, I'm going to pay the 295 every year for 3 years. And then after that 3 year period is over, if I want to become my own licensed PI in the state, I would have to sit for that same exam that
You
you
would.
sat for to get that
Yeah,
license.
you would. Yeah.
And I'm
You'd have,
assuming I'm probably going to have to test for that somewhere in the state of Texas.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a 3, 4 hour exam in person.
Okay.
And Michelle, you were able to go beyond that because you had your military experience. Is that correct?
Yeah. Well, that's why I didn't have to have that 3 years experience because of my
Okay, but you
military
still had to
experience.
do the exam.
I still had to do the exam.
Okay, gotcha. All right. So if there's somebody who does have military experience, but they do not live in Texas, do they still have to go under you, or can they just apply
They could apply, but they'd have to sit for that exam.
the exam?
And they need to create a business entity in the state of Texas.
Okay, awesome. That
Are
was a great.
there Are there any other criteria? Like, for example, let's say you may have some other, I don't know, professional licenses, let's say investment licenses. Would that,
No, I've had those licenses. I'm also a licensed loan officer and mortgage broker, and no, they don't care.
okay.
Yeah.
We have Stephen Ronnie Taylor asked, can they stay with you even after 3 years if they don't want to
Yeah,
start?
like if they're out of state and they don't want to become, yeah,
Yeah,
for
I know
sure.
some people don't want to take a 3 hour test. Me personally, I would pick a 295. I'm
It's wild because it's open book and it's harder with the open
really,
book. Yeah.
yeah. After I graduated college, I said no more test.
Yeah,
All
you just pay people to take your tests.
right, that's true. All right, George, go ahead.
Um, so I have like almost like a three-part question. And that is that if we have military experience, will that will count, I understand, towards the 3 years?
It can, yes. Mine did. I can't say for certain for everyone, but yes, it did for me.
Okay. Also, if we have a concealed carry permit, I live in the state of Texas, and if we have a concealed carry, that we have to get basically background checks and FBI checks and everything for like every 4 years. Will that count towards doing this, or is it going to be a separate one?
It's going to be separate for the background, but I believe you can use your fingerprinting if it's recent, if it's not expired.
Okay. And then the last question is, so I understand that you talked about no other licenses are good. But let me ask a more specific question. And that is, with an attorney, if you're an attorney, can you just basically take the test? I mean, I'll just give you an analogy. Like, even though I'm not a licensed real estate agent, I
Mhm.
can represent people in all real estate transactions. Attorneys just, they can. And it's sort of like a special kind of thing. And
Right.
since we're representing people, would we be able to represent? Because in the real estate contracts, we just put down our state bar of Texas number versus a real estate license number. Do you know in this particular case, or would I have to contact them?
I think you should contact them, but I didn't see that on any of my applications as an option to add additional license numbers for any other profession. So, um, yeah, I think you'd have to contact them directly, but I didn't see it.
It,
Okay.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but just as a data point, in Pennsylvania, there is a requirement to be licensed as a finder to do state unclaimed funds, and attorneys are exempt from that requirement.
Yeah,
So I don't
that's
know if that's the same situation as what you're describing, but it sounds like it might be.
in a
Yeah,
lot
might
of
be.
states, attorneys have that exemption.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's sort of the way it is. There's no something on like a Texas real estate forms that they promulgate that say, hey, your license or your state bar of Texas number. It just, attorneys know they can just put their state bar of Texas number, and
Uh,
that's
Yeah,
not
nothing formal. It's just a matter of
yeah,
practice.
you should definitely reach out to them. Yeah, and
okay.
they're very good at. You're not on hold forever or anything. They're very good at communication.
And then could my law firm be um, like a
Not an
company?
agency. Yeah, not an.
Uh,
You'd have to create that agency. Yeah, you'd have to, and that's
okay,
where I had to take the test to get that agency. So I'm not sure if your being attorney will eliminate that requirement.
sure.
I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, hey, thank you very much. I look forward to getting in touch with you.
Yeah,
If you
for
provide
sure.
us your email, please. Thank you.
I'll put my number and email in the chat.
Yeah, and also when I upload the replay, guys, I'll also put her contact information. I do see somebody that said, does that come with VAs? Guys, this is not a service that is like, setting up your business or doing it for you. This is strictly so that you guys can get access to be sponsored by her agency. This is something that is a requirement in order for you to get your actual number as a PI, and then that will give you access to get the database. If you guys want to contact Shannon Price as well, I don't think she's on the call right now, but she is in our community and the Facebook group. If you guys want to purchase the list from her, or you can get the list directly from Texas, but you have to create your software to be able to open it because the file is huge. And like
Yeah.
Michelle talked about, every month they update it. So, this is a no-brainer. I hope you guys are looking to hop all over this because, if we're getting updated leads, that means that we can do this business. And if we have a barrier to entry, that means that um the competition is not going to be as high. So I think this would be a good opportunity. Hey, Kirk, you can go ahead and ask your question now.
Hi, Eric. My law enforcement experience would qualify for the 3 years, wouldn't it?
Yes, and then so that means though that you're going to have to create that agency. So
That's fine.
that'll require the exam. But yes, that would get you qualified most likely.
Okay, thank you.
Now, Michelle, creating that agency, do you have to create an LLC for that?
Well, no, that's not true. I did create mine specifically for that. I was gonna say I already had one, but no, my overages business is a DBA of that agency.
Okay,
So yeah, I
gotcha.
created the agency first.
Awesome. All right. McKenna, go ahead.
Hi, this is actually Cassidy. But I have a question. This is so funny we're talking about this because I was literally researching this yesterday for my own state. And I feel like Tennessee and Texas kind of have same rules. But I have a claim that I'm working on, and the lawyer that I'm working with, he's kind of new to surplus funds. But there's liens on it. So we were going to let it go past the 1 year redemption period and let it go to unclaimed property and then pursue it. I'm not for sure if that's the same in Texas, but I did just find out it is a 10% cap when it goes into unclaimed property. But I didn't know if I'm pursuing it before it goes into unclaimed property, if it's that 10% cap or if I can do my own percentage with that. But you do have to be a PI in Tennessee to research these unclaimed properties as well. But do you have experience with that and knowing, like, you're working on a claim before it goes to unclaimed property?
I don't know because I've been licensed the whole time, so I don't know. I hadn't
Okay.
even thought of it. Sorry about that.
Okay. Well, I didn't know. It was just weird that we're talking about this because I just recently researched this yesterday. But
So
I was just wondering.
I can give you my experience. So like in Florida,
Okay.
for example, if we worked on a case, this was in Lee County, and we weren't able to get the claim filed and taken care of before it got escheated to the state.
Mhm.
Once that got sent over to the state, yes, it became, unclaimed property. I already had that agreement in place. And also, they're not going to send that check to my company. They send it to the client. I have to invoice them anyway. So that was an agreement between the client and myself, which they would end up paying me. So we already had that agreement. So in that case, we would be fine. So it sounds like if you already have them under contract, the funds get turned over, the client
Oh,
is going to receive the funds. You already have an agreement with them. You would get paid
I
through
gotcha.
after that.
Okay, that's good to know. I didn't know if I was getting 10% or my 30%. But as long as I've got that agreement in place before it goes to unclaimed property, it sounds like I'm good.
I mean,
But
and it's
yeah, I was, but you have to be a PI in Tennessee to do the unclaimed property as well.
yeah. So I mean, sometimes there's workarounds as well. So like if you let's say for example you have a family member in Texas, right, and they have unclaimed funds, and you search them individually, you help them get the money. They can pay you, it's not necessarily illegal for them to, if you figure out, hey, they got $5,000 and they give you $1,000 out of the five for helping you. Just like in Florida. In Florida, in order to get access to the entire list from the state, you have to be a registered PI, at least on the Class A, or you have to be a CPA or an attorney. But that does not mean that if you already know of somebody who has unclaimed funds, that you can't search them, get the claim form, help them out, and then they pay you directly. So there's some gray area in between that. So if you have somebody, I wouldn't let that stop you from charging the percentage that you want.
Okay, and then another thing about those lists, is that just property only, or are you getting lists from, does that include other things, or is it just property
It's just,
only?
yeah, it's just unclaimed funds from
Property,
property
real estate.
accounts. Yeah.
Okay.
No, not real estate at all. No.
Oh,
Um,
Yeah,
unless
unclaimed
it's
property is the term used for basically money. So this can be unclaimed bank accounts, checking savings.
right. Okay, so you get in that list, you get all that.
yes.
Gotcha.
And in the cases where it's like a tax sale amount that sheeted to the state, if the counties actually send it there, that'll be there. But that's not the norm. That's not
Gotcha. So you're
most of them.
looking at all monies from
All monies. Yeah,
across the board.
that's right.
That is a big list.
It's gigantic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Michelle, for the list, is that a free list that Texas shares once you get your license?
Mhm. You literally just have to email them and ask for an updated list by the 7th of each month.
Well, they're nice because other states usually charge, it's not a lot. Like Massachusetts, I remember I had to send a money order, and it's just,
I
an
still don't have a list from Georgia, and I sent a
yeah.
money order. I don't know how long
You're
ago.
gonna be disappointed when you get the list because they're not gonna tell you the dollar amount.
Wow. Yeah, no, Texas is great for that though. I mean, especially if you're willing to do like the make 2,000 on a deal, you could be busy forever.
Yeah.
Like you can get telemarketers to or VAs to call and be busy forever.
Mailers as well.
And mailers, yes.
Great for this, guys. We have Jeanette asked a question. In Texas, how quickly can you collect?
It depends. Um, I could say like the fastest has been 45 days, but it really depends. And the best part is, you just type it in and check the status. I
Yep.
love that. But yeah, it depends. It could take up to 6 months. It could take 30 days. It just, yeah.
Now, typically when I do the unclaimed property, after I get the client signed up with the agreement, I hop on a Zoom call and I share my screen and we go through the whole process on the website. So we search their name,
Yeah.
we name form, we fill it out. Is that something that you recommend as well?
Yes. Or just creating your own app with all of that information and sending it over in a PDF. And then you can just input it yourself.
Yeah. The reason why I do the share screen on Zoom is when they ask for the social, it's just easier.
That's
Okay,
true.
social and then
That's
put it
true.
opposed to the
Yeah,
getting
for
the
that sensitive
yeah.
information. Yeah.
Does anything need to be notarized on these documents?
Sometimes.
Okay.
Sometimes. I'm gonna say not all the time, but sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, and I know sometimes it gets tricky when you're dealing with stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. So we probably can't
Yeah,
just
I have not done that.
yeah. Those get difficult because sometimes the cash is not really pulled yet, and it's still something it's so confusing. But if you guys do run into that scenario, you can contact me and I can help you guys out with that.
That's
But
cool.
the other stuff, it should be pretty clear and cut. And also, I want to tell you guys, when you're marketing these clients on the unclaimed side, since this isn't a property that went through foreclosure, you want to ask your verifying questions based on the data that you get. So if you see on the list that, it was Chase Bank that reported it back in 2002, you want to use that to inform them and then tell them, okay, I'm a registered finder. I can see here on the list that it reported that, John Smith at the address of 1234 Main Street had an account with Chase Bank and they reported funds back in 2002. Are you the correct John? And I would love to send over details. Same thing, take your screenshots. You can do an intro email for Texas, just like we do an intro email on the foreclosure side.
Yeah. That screenshot makes a huge difference.
Show them the proof. Yeah.
Yep.
Hey, George, do you have another question?
Yes. Do you have to typically invoice the client or will the state pay you directly? And then
Invoice.
also, pardon me?
Invoice. Yeah.
Okay. And then is there, I guess, is there any workaround about percent, or is that pretty much um, because I know that Eric has talked about, like, as an example, in Florida, if you have an attorney basically represents you and sort of the client, and there's a way to get around the caps in that circumstance because the state doesn't ask for that information from the attorney. Is
Right.
there a way, or is it pretty much just 10%?
I just haven't attempted, and I won't, but
Okay.
I'm sure it may be. But for me, the volume more than makes up for the percentage. So I haven't tried it.
Okay. Well, we appreciate you coming on tonight and sharing this information with us. Thank you.
Oh,
If
thank
there's
you.
typically if there's an attorney exemption, then an attorney is free to charge whatever
Like up
the
to
attorney,
33 and a third or
yeah,
something. Yeah.
whatever the attorney can get their client to agree to is whatever the attorney can charge.
Okay.
And there
Hmm.
might be, so it would be a cap at 10% as your recovery fee. But let's say, for example, we have a unclaimed checking account. The owner of that checking account is deceased and you're working with the heirs and there's probate cost that's associated. Well, that can be billed separately,
Mhm.
in terms of your recovery fee, 10%. But the cost for probate is going to be separate than the fees that you're charging. So
Yeah,
if you do incur any type of fees and costs associated with this, make sure that that is separate than your actual recovery fee.
yeah, like we do on mortgage overages and tax overages. Yeah.
Exactly. All right, guys. Any other questions?
This is not the same as claimingtexas.gov, is it, Michelle?
Yes.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Mhm.
I'm
Yeah.
familiar with that site. Okay. And you're gonna send us the information that we need to get started with you?
Yeah. So I'm glad you brought that up. We didn't talk about that part, did we? So anyone that's interested, I have the instructions step by step um, for you to get registered and get your background check and your fingerprinting. And I also have an agreement for just the 1 year, not 3. It's not a contract, it's just an agreement. And then you complete the agreement, get your registration done, and I'd send you the invoice when we finalize the agreement. It's not that complicated. It's maybe a half hour.
And after we do the agreement in like the first year, we can still have your business, your agency on our website?
Yeah, I would say you're going to use your own license number because you're going to have one on your website. Um, and if you want the agency number, we can discuss it. If you want to use the agency number, we can discuss it because I don't think you want Overages Ally or Unclaimed Money Maven on your website with the license number.
And
So
yeah, you're right. I just wanted to make sure that either we were going to use our own or if we had to use yours.
yeah, no, you can use your individual license number.
Okay, sounds great.
Hey, Adrian, go ahead.
Okay, I'm sure I'm the only one that this pertains to, but I'm currently living in Ecuador. How would I go about getting fingerprinted?
Hmm.
I mean,
That
I guess I
that
can go to the police
Embassy.
station and get fingerprinted, but I don't know how I would get it to them.
huh,
I try the embassy.
Ah,
yeah.
good idea. Okay. All right, there you go. Thank you.
Now if all of us go out of the country, we know what to do.
All right, perfect. So, guys, I will be sharing her information. Michelle, thank you so much for providing that insight and this wonderful opportunity for everybody, so that they can actually work this business. We definitely appreciate you.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right,
Bye-bye.
guys.
You.
Ciao.
Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you.